has been engaged in a constitutional reform process from 2015. In 2015, there were two landmark elections which brought in a reform government which has been engaged in a constitutional reform exercise. Unfortunately, it has more or less run out of steam now, and it doesn't look as if there is going to be a new constitution within this parliament as had been promised. But a great deal of work has been done in terms of finding a political consensus around a framework of agreement between all the parties represented in Parliament about how further powers can be devolved from the centre to the provinces, building on the current limited frame of devolution that we already had in Sri Lanka. Obviously, the word federalism is not used in Sri Lanka. It's very much something that is extremely controversial and very divisive. So we don't try to avoid the word itself. But when you look at the substance of what has been agreed in the parliamentary negotiations in the last 3 or 4 years, you find that very much where the agreement seems to be going, the consensus seems to be going, is in a kind of federal type settlement in which there will be further devolution to the provinces. There will be areas of concurrent or shared power between the provinces and the centre. There will be a better framework for the fiscal and financial framework in support of devolution. There will be better intergovernmental coordination mechanisms. And there's also going to be a second chamber introduced into the central parliament, which will primarily be a chamber of provincial representation in the centre. There is also going to be a constitutional court which will have a special jurisdiction in resolving disputes between the centre and the provinces and between provinces. So when you take all these factors, you see that the framework that is being proposed, even though it is not called federal, is a federal type political system. And while it doesn't look likely that in this parliament there's going to be any further progress by way of enacting a new constitution or even an amendment to the current constitution, we are hopeful that with all that work that has been done, that after the next round of national elections, which are due later this year and or early next year, we hope that it will be a good result for the Reform Coalition to return to power, and in which case I think we can be hopeful that there will be a new settlement that brings further devolution to Sri Lanka, because one of the problems in Sri Lanka is that even though the war ended in 2009 with very unusually the complete defeat of Tamil militants, the political root causes of the conflict has still not been addressed. So it is high time that we return to a constitutional settlement of the causes of conflict. We have done some substantial and very useful work in the last 3 years, so now it remains to be seen whether we can push it through to a conclusion in the next parliament.